Hey there, people. I want to show you a couple of tools that I've made kind of out of necessity over the years. This is a tennis ball washed up out of the Ohio River. All the greens wore off of it. I put a valve stem in it, sealed it down with by stretching a washer onto it, screwed a piece of copper tubing in it, and made a brake fluid syringe. This is a valve spring compressor I made from some little wrenches and a hinge device. It had something to do with garage doors. I don't really know what, but a neighbor of mine worked for an outfit and gave me a whole box of junk, bolts and nuts and stuff. So I took the little hinged piece and the little wrenches that came with the garage door kit, and that's the 8-horse Briggs & Stratton valve. I got it collapsed. You slip it back in the rectangular recess, poke the valve down through it, click it over till it locks on the eyelet-shaped hole. Then you back off some of your tension, pull it out, and your valve spring's hooked. These are more continuation of these same little wrenches. Plus, I put a little lead into each edge so you can just stuff it back in there and it finds its own, seeks its own way onto the valve. It's a homemade spark tester, just a clamp with an old plug in it, a good plug. Clamp it to the head, put the plug wire on there, and keep from cranking yourself crazy. This is a valve cover reinforcer. Keeps displaces the pressure so that it doesn't distort the valve cover. And an old Phillips screwdriver, piece of something with some ears bent on it to where it would grab a single edge blade, and you can really do some serious chiseling. You're not going to hurt it. Worst case, you'll break a blade every once in a while, but it's a whole lot heavier than those ones that you buy at like Harbor Freight or somewhere. Let's see. There's a wire brush on a piece of 1/4-inch awl thread. Handy as a pocket on a shirt, as my dad would say, for getting down in valve pockets and so on. This is a, well, you know what that is. That's a non-fouler with some 3/8 plumbing on it and an air fitting for putting air in a spark plug hole to hold the valve slammed up in an overhead valve engine. I make file handles out of broom handles, wrap a piece of wire around them, grind a little groove and squash it down in so that when you chunk it to make it sink in real good, it won't split the handle, because ain't nothing worse than somebody fouling and run one of these things way back up into their palm. Make them say bad words. Here's something kind of handy that doesn't look like much. A Sawzall blade, a rat tail file, wired together, hose clamped together. If you're trying to put pressure on it sideways, you're not going to get much done, but straight up and down, you can actually lean on the Sawzall as long as you're going slow. If you go fast, you'll burn the teeth off the file just like you would a drill if you run a drill fast. It's just, they're not up to it. But I've used the daylights out of that, and it makes it a lot easier on my old tired elbows and shoulders. This is an old screwdriver. Ground a flat spot in the screwdriver and slip this piece of copper tubing up on it. First, I ground the screwdriver down skinny and real thin. Put a dot where the notch was in the screwdriver so that collar stays situated, and that's for adjusting chainsaw carburetors or string trimmer carburetors. So they're not jumping all around and falling off and frustrating you. Whoops, I got my phone all wiggling. On the carburetors that have the screws back inside that oval recess where you can't get to the screws, just take a hacksaw and real gently cut the screw, the aluminum, and all, because that aluminum recess is there for no other purpose except to keep you from adjusting those screws, to make you compliant with California's air board crap. So I can't tell you to do it, but that would be a way if a person wanted to adjust their own, that they could sure take a hacksaw and cut 2 splits right through that aluminum oval, screws and all, and the deal's done. Here's something worked out pretty good. An old junk cigarette lighter. It doesn't have to burn. Just put a piece of heater hose with a wire in the bottom. Gives it a false bottom, or a real bottom. You always got a light. What else? Got a drill press given to me that didn't have a provision for speeding it up and slowing it down. The variable part was bad. So I took an old sewing machine rheostat and a short pigtail and tapped into one of the wires in the pigtail and put the rheostat in that one wire, so you can speed up and slow down your drill. You can't change the ratio for strength reasons. You can't change gears, in other words, but you can slow it down so you're not grabbing and binding and burning up bits and so on. This deal here, that was an old pair of vice grips and a busted C-clamp. When I had an outside picnic table, I used to work on lawnmowers on that table to keep them from being down here where there's pilot lights. I'd clamp that clamp to the table, and it's poor man's vice for sharpening chains or just extra hand, whatever you want to use it for. Don't quit bumping that thing. It's going to look like I'm drunk. But I'm going to take the camera out and show you what I took my Stanley light. Let me get this with a background to it. Took my Stanley light off and made this coat hanger fixture in place of the light that did go in it. And I can put my smartphone in it and it holds it for it. Okay, this deal here, this is an old pair of vice grips that were broken and a piece of a bicycle kickstand. A big bolt and a big nut. I welded the nut to the plate, which is the bottom of an early computer. Welded the bike kickstand down to where the jaw was broke off the vice grips. And if you're needing to weld 2 things together and need a third hand, there you go. It holds it till you get done, or for any soldering, whatever you want to do. I just did a video on this friction drive bike because it's like the first Whizzer that they only made 1 year, 1939. People say, oh, Whizzer never made a friction. Yes, they did. They were under the company Breen Taylor, B-R-E-E-N, Taylor Engineering. You can Google it and get some info on it. I copied off of the patent, the original 1938-39 patent, but turned out real good. Except the only thing I had to do, and I put it in that other video, was dogleg the pedal crank because the China motor I used is kind of wide. I don't have access to a second Whizzer motor. I do have, though, a Briggs & Stratton kickstart motor that I kind of jokingly take to shows and so on. I call it my 1938 Briggs Mole Killer. 1, buy 12 beers. 2, put exhaust hose in mole's tunnel. 3, start the engine. And 4, sit back and drink the beers. Put the hose right here on the exhaust pipe and bye-bye moles. Go to sleep peacefully. They don't bleed to death like they do on blood thinner rat poison. They just go to sleep and that's it. If you got a generator, there's another tool. I didn't make it, but old guy told me about it. Say you got a gas generator and it won't charge, but it will run. You can start it up, plug a permanent magnet drill like this Black & Decker here that's the chuck's wallered out pretty bad. So it's not too good for drilling anymore. But you put your generator in, plug this in, hold the trigger on the drill, and with the trigger on, spin the drill, and when the drill starts pulling on its own, you know you got it charging. It flashes it. It energizes the fields. Just plug this in the generator, hold this trigger on, give it a quick snap, and the little bit of current that it makes, because a DC motor is basically a generator in reverse. We'll get a generator going if all it needed was to be flashed. Some people do it with a battery, but It's dangerous. You can blow them up in your face. Not a good thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else down here. I've got 21 motorized bikes. I've done about 16 videos on the bikes, but I still want to show some of the ones I've made since I lost my job. Got a lot more time on my hands, so I'm piddling more. This one's got some kind of interesting directions, if you can read them. Twist throttle wide open, pull seat cover out of your ass, and calm your nerves with alcohol. 8 horsepower, little skinny tires. Back one's kind of melted a little from showing off out at the Street Ride Nationals, but a lot of people filmed it, and I like to ham it up, so I was happy. Got some kind of a twist grip off of a foreign moped on it. Neat looking tank. It's not off a China bike. It's a little bit bigger. It's off an old mini bike. That's about it for this video. See you later.